You gotta love how Anthony thinks, right? So in the interview that you gonna go watch, I am sure that you will learn a ton about how to go direct as an affiliate marketer and the big advantages of why you should do that instead of only going with affiliate networks. Apart from that, I am sure that you will learn a lot about Anthony and what he estimates is gonna happen over the next 12 to 18 months. The political development, the economic development, and how these upcoming months could be your biggest month in a lifetime. This is gonna be another interesting one with my good old buddy, Anthony Sarandrea.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen of Ad World? We got a very special conversation here for you again. Today, my name is Phil, as you know, but more importantly, I'm gonna speak with the man, Anthony Sarandrea. He's known to be one of the biggest customer generators in this world, driving around 1,000? No, 1,000,000. 1,000,000 customers a year, something like 5,000 and more inbound calls a day. So he's definitely something we can learn from. And well, welcome, Anthony.
Philip, what's up, bro? Thanks for having me.
Last time we saw each other in person was like, what, 1.5 years ago on stage in Bangkok, I believe, right?
I think that was it, dude. I think you ousted me that I drink tequila, so.
Oh, you want one? No. Okay, no. I'm told we cannot have that here. So let's keep it professional. And yeah, it was a good time. It feels like ages ago.
Dude, it was a long time ago. I'm excited to get back to traveling internationally. I've been traveling within the States, but it'll be refreshing to go see other parts of the world. So much good comes out of that, I think.
Definitely. Well, let's hope that's going to happen soon. Until then, I'm super happy that we have this format virtually, right? And such a great audience here. Let's make sure to share some real nuggets with them today. The topic we're going to focus on is going direct as an affiliate, right? So I want to kick it off with, a question that more caters to people who might not have been in the affiliate space for too long. And it's about the difference of actually going direct or doing it another way, which typically would include an affiliate network. But can you share a little bit about the pros and cons and why you seem to prefer going direct if you can?
For sure. Yeah. And I think, a couple things on that topic I want to start with. First is, if we titled this topic, how to cut your CPAs by 20% to 200%, I bet you'd get everyone and their mom watching this tape, or I said how to double your profits in one call, right? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, except, so many affiliates are focused on only half, and in my opinion, even a smaller percentage of what actually moves the needle, which is the media buying, which is just how do I cut my CPAs? How do I make my ads more efficient? How do I get cheaper leads versus how do I demand more for my leads? How do I move up the value chain so that I can get paid more for these leads? And in my opinion, it's a pure prioritization, right? So it's purely what are you spending your time on? Is it just learning how to become a better media buyer, or is it how to become a better business owner? Which a business owner is going to look at, all facets of the funnel, not just, I made the phone ring or I had them fill out a form. I did my job. You didn't do your job. So much more of your job over here. And the reason it's your job is because you can make more money if you focus over here too. So that's the main thing I want to talk about today. And, some of the pros and cons, I mean, honestly, I struggled to come up with cons, but if there are cons with going with the network, I guess some of the pros for a network would be, they may already have relationships built in. So it helps you be able to get an offer up pretty quickly, right? So if I was like, I wonder if this final expense stuff is something, I could probably have traffic going in the next day or two here, like pretty quickly through a network. So that's good. And then some of them can do things like play piggy bank. So if there's better payment terms, they're going to float the spend or something like that. Awesome. Outside of that, 99% of networks I've ever talked to really don't do their job. And what their job, in my opinion, is helping you gain more, get more margin, put more money in your pocket, help communication issues, get attention from the end buyer. And most of them, I think, drop the ball on that. And this isn't a plea against that. It's more a plea of you working directly like with the advertiser, whether it's a product or a service or a sales floor. I mean, like I said, the communication can be much closer, which sounds silly. It doesn't sound like much, but it's everything from, can I get the A team reps to answer my phones instead of the B team? Can I get the sales script flushed out a little bit better? Can I actually share my creative, not just for compliancy? Let me send you something. So hopefully it gets approved. I'll send you something generic and vanilla. Can I actually help you understand the angles I'm taking so the salespeople can answer better, right? Like all these are just a few like quick little off the cusp things or ideas, but all these things play into you making more money. If the sales team closes more, or if the product that you're pushing, if they have a higher lifetime value with upsales or whatever that looks like, it benefits you because you can demand more for the money. So, I mean, it's no secret that it all backs into a CPA, right? Like my least favorite thing with networks is they're like, yep, I can get you Medicare calls for $35 on a 60-second. And I'm like, you're speaking Spanish versus English. English is my buyer can tolerate a new customer under $350, under $400. Tell me about your traffic sources. Where are they coming from? Do you know what you're currently closing out with the CPA you're hitting with other partners is today? Like those are the conversations we should be having with a network, or network should be having with affiliates that you'll have with a direct buyer or consumer. They don't, they may have a generic, here's my payout. But it doesn't mean anything. It's fluff to me. It doesn't matter at all. All I want to know is what is your CPA tolerance, meaning how much can you enroll a deal at, or how much margin do you have built in there? And, I know I need to hit that at the end of the day. So I'm not necessarily saying I approach a deal and say, hey, let's work on a CPA deal. But at the end of the day, I'm skinning a cat a different way. I back into that. I need to make sure that they're making money and I'm making money ultimately, but I need to make sure I hit under those metrics, which is really what's the max you can pay to enroll a customer. And when you're talking to a network, they've got their hand in their pot versus, and even who you think's the direct advertiser, there may be a level to that. We'll just talk about the Medicare space. Like, I sell to some companies that are really sales floors. So they're not a network, but they've got their hand in the pot too. They're adding a lot of value. So it makes sense. They've got hundreds of sales reps. I don't want that headache in this space, at least not yet today. So they're adding value where it's cool that they're taking margin. But a lot of the times that direct communication with an actual a product or service provider is just, it's monumentally crucial. And I'm excited to dive into it more.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that was a strong start. Thank you so much, Anthony. So, you have made it clear that for you, it's so much better to go direct. Why do you think then a lot of affiliates just start with an affiliate network and never leave affiliate networks?
Lack of prioritization or focus, in my opinion. And, we all do it in our life. It's you get rabbit holed at what you're good at and you do more of it. And that's all you do. And you get your head down like this and you're just digging. And you don't ever look up and look to the left and see that there's gold actually to the left. And that's not just me, That's not just affiliates. I think that's people in general. We double down what we're good at because it gives us the sense of security, right? Like if I'm a great media buyer, when I do that, I feel good. So I get addicted to it in a great way. I love my job. But I think you really got to ask yourself when you're listening to this right now today is, are you building a business? Because most people listening here are not business owners. They've created a job for themselves, which is awesome, which is amazing. And maybe you don't ever want to grow a business. There's challenges with that too, but do you want to be a business owner or do you want to create a job for yourself? Which if you did that and you're happy with that, amazing. If you want to create a business and you want to be a business owner, you have to start looking up at those other gold pockets, not just what you're good at. And this, in my opinion, is a monumental gold pocket. I mean, I'll even just share a story. I wrote it down too. So I get paid $100 a Medicare call. And if anyone knows that space, the going rate's about $45 for everyone else in the world, right? So if you go out there and you go try and get a Medicare offer, I literally had some guy tell me I was lying and crazy when I told him I get $100 a Medicare call. It's true. I do. So think about it like this, Philip. If you and I both advertise in the Medicare space, you have to drive leads under $45. Otherwise you can't make money. I have up to $100 to drive leads, right? And I'm not just saying, well, wow, look how much more money I make. In fact, I can spend more to acquire a higher quality customer. So I become it starts feeding the machine. It's be addicting for my partners because I have the highest quality stuff. No duh, because I can do more. And I drive more volume. No duh, because you're paying me more. So everyone else is competing at this $45 mark threshold. I'm here. This is all nobody else competing at. So it makes me so attractive why we do tens of millions of dollars in the affiliate space. Just that principle alone, we're playing different. It's like me saying, let's play one-on-one in basketball and you're right hand. And I say, you can only use your left hand or shoot. You can't even use any of your hands. You can only hit with your head in. And I get both of my hands. We're playing a different level of a game. And it's because we have different rule sets at this point. I have this much more money to get higher quality and to drive more volume. So they love me and it's addicting. So they want to keep paying that. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that case where you're 45, like, I got to get cheaper leads, which means they're worse quality, which means you can't have volume. And it just gets compressed and compressed and compressed. So focusing a set percentage of your time on I don't even care if it's not even going direct today. It's spending time understanding what the true mechanics, sales process, everything behind your lead, behind the call you're driving the lead. It's so crucial for you to be spending a disproportionate, in my opinion, time on this, where you're probably spending 100% on media buying today. I think you need to spend a disproportional amount over here, 70, 80% on this, because dude, I can be 2.5 times worse a media buyer than you, Philip. I'm getting paid $100, 2 times, 2 and some change, I guess, times worse media buyer. If all I do is I'm getting really good at relationally selling, getting to the right end buyer, or selling them on the vision, or understanding that a Medicare shop can afford a $400 plus CPA, where everybody else is being told they only afford a $200 CPA because the network's eating margin, or there's a communication gap. It's like playing telephone.
Fantastic. I love your way of thinking, but you know that I love that. And I love how you intro everything and frame it in such a different way. That's awesome. And fact-wise, it's true. So I haven't run campaigns like this in a long time, but I used to run like a dozen people team who did exactly that, and it was all different, right? And we'll dive into that. I'm super interested actually how you work in your space and do that, because first of all, I agree that the bigger payout that you get obviously has all the benefits that you just mentioned, but also I actually think that communication is one of the biggest things, right? And how you can work together on different aspects, on the angles and so forth. So let's dive into that, and specifically how to actually get there. So most of you is entering the space, and it's a very crowded space by now, right? Let's say they start off new, or they have been there for a while and working for a network. How do you get from that network setup to the direct relationship setup? How do you do that?
So I think there's a couple things. It's fairly overcomplicated. I think people make it fairly overcomplicated. I think it's very simple. It is literally setting aside, even if you're listening to this today, set aside, I don't even care if it's 1 hour a week, where all you're going to do is, let's say you're in auto insurance space. You can literally Google search Progressive affiliate program. Google search just go through all these programs. And let's say you can't, right? Got it. You can't. And most people listening are doing spy tools, right? Go pull up those ads and call or fill out a form on every single your competitor. The people running ads against you, we'll use the Medicare auto insurance space as a good example. Fill that stuff out. See who's calling you back. See who you're actually selling your leads to. Listen to recordings on calls. You call in. And I mean, guys, we have I firmly believe some of the greatest businesses we're going to see over the next decade or two are going to come out of people that started in the affiliate marketing space. I firmly believe that, because we're so direct response focused. I mean, just a fun stat, 60% of the Fortune 1000 companies were started in a recession or a downturn. I know we're going to get to that towards the end of here, but I want people to start prepping for that. But because we've been so focused on first click attribution as affiliates, I firmly believe if we do this correctly, a lot of people listening here today are going to grow massive businesses. And guys, we have the best value proposition in the world. We're commission-only salespeople. So when you get someone on the phone who's a rep, you say, "Hey, I need to speak to the marketing department. I sell leads on a close-only basis. Like, you're a commission-only sales guy. Let's call it what it is. We call it affiliates, media buyers, publishers. We're commission-only salespeople is what we are. So sell it that way. Get on the phone. Get to the right point of contact. Call every day till you get a rep that actually transfers for you somewhere. Or take a different angle. You just go, "Hey, who's the marketing director over there too? I got routed incorrectly. Oh, you mean Philip? Oh, okay, yeah. What's Philip's last name?" Like, whatever you have to do to get hungry, LinkedIn, all these things. Like, just get dirty with it. Finding, calling. So tactically, zoom out. Tactically speaking, call all of and fill out forms for all of your competitors' websites. See who's actually working their leads and calls at the end of the day. Secondly, literally Google search auto insurance companies and go down the list. Maybe even start Arizona auto insurance companies and brokerages, and work your way around and up and have conversations and understand the CPA and start getting, and lastly, I'll say too, it's really underutilized or talk about, people don't talk about this ever, is most software companies, most of us affiliates, we run from, because they're trying to sell us all the time, right? Like, "Oh, we got my new email, my new this, blah, blah, blah." And everyone's like, "Dude, get away from me. You're trying to sell me." Those are my best friends, and not maliciously, but you think about it, they're playing God. They get to see all the publishers and all the advertisers, and they have relationships with both. Why would I not make this person my best friend on the entire freaking planet? It behooves me as to why people just talk, a software guy, you're like, "Hey, dude, get out of my way. I don't want to talk to you." Or you're at a conference when this is a beautiful example of that, the virtual conference here. Like, spend time, set up meetings with these software companies, talk to them about what they're doing. One, hopefully maybe you can benefit, but two, honestly, selfishly, they know advertisers. So if they see you're doing good stuff, it's in their best interest to intro you to these advertisers, because then you're feeding their machine too. So create relationship with companies that have strategic relationships with who you want already. AKA an easy one is software. I'm sure you guys have sponsors that are software companies. That's a great place to start. Google search it, and fill out and contact your competitors' stuff. Shoot, even your stuff if you're through a network. But really, this all comes down to, you need to block out time in your schedule to prioritize this. I'm telling you, this is a prioritization issue more than anything on the planet. It's prioritization issue. And I go back to how I started this. If I told you you could cut your CPA by 20 to 200%, or you could double your profit, you'd be like, what's the tip or trick you have for TikTok? Where? This is that tip or trick that's just so old school, so easy. You need to block out the time in your schedule to do it. It will move mountains for you, far more than any tactic you're going to learn about Facebook or Snapchat or TikTok or any of this stuff. And I firmly stamp that with approval. I firmly mean that. And that's coming from a guy who's been media buying his entire life. And I love it. I'm obsessed with media buying.
The one question I have is, you don't have a tip for TikTok for me now?
I could, but it's a different topic. Chad told me to keep it on topic, so I'm going to listen to him.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. No, just teasing you. I think that's a major point, and I appreciate that. The one thing that I have is, let's say that somebody makes those priorities clear and like blocks 80% of the schedule and doing exactly what you just said. Another point that would come up for me personally is, how would you actually evaluate which of those offers that is worth your time, your effort, and obviously your money? Because that's how a lot of affiliates think, right? They go to an affiliate network, they think they're best buddies with their affiliate managers and get the best EPC or whatever. We've covered that. And in the end, they trust the judgment, which might not be worth a lot, we know that, and then test those out. And at least it's fast to set up, right? Supposedly the networks have already like done their due diligence, and then they run like 3 or 5 offers and take the best one. So obviously that's a different approach. How do you do that if you go direct? Do you go through all the efforts of setting things up with 10 different advertisers and then test them out, or do you have a more streamlined process?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think part of the pro again of a network is they get, I get to that play God joke. Or there's probably a better verbiage choice than that. But anyway, they get to see, all the traffic coming in. But again, too, I'm a huge believer in thinking about what are people's incentives, right? So if I'm telling you, hey, Philip, push this Medicare offer, is it because Medicare is doing great, or is it because that's where I make the most money? Interesting. We don't think about that, right? So yes, they do get to see that, but are they actually passing on the correct data or intel to you that's actually useful? So short answer, no, I don't go open up 10 direct relationships, because it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to get to those. Potentially nothing crazy, and it's worth it, as we talked about, but it's not overnight, right? So yeah, I'll start having those conversations with networks, to your point. Back to my software companies or whoever has those strategic relationships, I'll have those conversations with who's driving you the highest call volume. You don't have to tell me their name, but what space are they in? Oh, I can tell you that. They're in the auto insurance space. Oh, are they doing it online? Are they like getting this kind of info is so important. It's cutting learning curves, to your point. So having those conversations, and honestly, this is going to be the biggest head explosion ever. I know I talked about it in Thailand. This space is so hush, closed mouth. Oh, Medicare is working. I'm not going to mention that in my AdWorld interview. I'm not going to talk about it. It's so hush. I have a group of a few individuals that we compete against each other, and we open our book and spread our legs, once a month to each other. We say, hey, look. Yeah. And we all have found over the last few years how much more money we make, because the 3 to 5 of us, I might take a tip and run with it. He might take a tip. We all can learn from each other. So the more you're actually creating relationships within the space where, hey, Philip, you take on auto insurance, I'm going to take on Medicare. Let's talk back. Let's review. Like, that's a silly example, but that is happening today, where you're doing it, I'm doing it, and let's both run. So it's really important to create relationships with other affiliates for that reason, to get intel, other software companies, and then networks as well too is really important. But I'll share now the philosophical side of that is twofold. One is I got to meet Bill Gross is his name. If you don't know the name, it's kind of funny because he created the technology of pay-per-click that we use every single day here. So he sold the technology to Yahoo for I think $1.3 billion, and then sold the patent to Google for $250 million. So every way that all of us are making money here, we thank Bill Gross. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
He had one lesson he learned in his lifetime, and he's ran 7 public companies, all valued over $1 billion. And he said the wrong focus is better than being unfocused. So I want to let that sit for a second here. The wrong focus is better than being unfocused. Meaning, even if you pick up auto insurance and it's the wrong focus, Medicare, you would have been the right focus. Staying drilled down focused is better than now. Okay, I ran it for a week. Okay, now I'm gonna try. So that just hit me so hard years ago. Was even if I'm in the wrong space, I picked the wrong offer, I've got the wrong everything. It's better to focus than to be unfocused. And I thought that was just so brilliant and beautiful. And honestly, guys, if you see let's just use auto insurance as an example, someone spending money that's a direct response. I'm not talking to Silicon Valley, pumped, startup is a great WeWork documentary. It just came out. It was pretty cool to watch if anyone's interested. But there was, you're not Silicon Valley backed where you're just trying to acquire users and grow revenue. Like if it's a direct response company, a company really trying to drive customers profitably, and they're spending money online, there's something there. The variable is probably not your ability to buy media. You're probably pretty decent at that or great at it. Your variable is the relationship or the contacts you have to get there. So if you're seeing someone spend money in a direct response format, there's a chance for that offer to work. That offer is working somewhere. So I can share the tactics and the call it philosophical or higher idea, looking at how to decide which offer or which one to run with.
All right, gotcha. Good point. Do you actually ever try offers that a network has just to find out what works for you, and then you approach people directly?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the pros to a network. And I think,
all right.
Honestly,
so how do you do that then? How do you choose the offers that you test? How long do you have them run in terms of time, in terms of budget? What's your KPIs there?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think as far as we'll put really, I think, okay, how can I put this tactically for everyone listening? I would set aside, and this is what we do. It's not maybe as methodical as I'm about to, say as I do, not, or do as I say, not as I do, as directly, although we do this. Set a percentage side of what you make for testing budgets, right? So for us, I would say we probably sit around 10% of our profits that I in my head lit it on fire in a trash can and it's gone, right? But it's not. Right. I'm learning and I'm testing. So what that means is if you've got something working today, stay 90% invested in that and focused, in my opinion. Guys, I was in one space for almost 3 years straight that I drove leads. I did not spend $1 anywhere else than one space, back to that focus, for 3 years. That's all I did. All I did was one space, and I lost money. I made money. It went up, down. We had good season, bad season. I just stayed there. And I would say on a trend line, it maybe went like this, but it went like this overall. Where versus if I jumped, it probably would have flatlined. So anyway, set a percent of whatever you're making, monthly, weekly, however you want to do it, and say this is experimental. So experimental means new platform, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever that you're not on today. Experimental means a new offer. So, okay, I'm doing Medicare. Maybe I'll do final expense. Maybe I'll do U65 insurance, right? Just one other thing. And I know that I'm only going to put 10% of my time and 10% of my resources, my money towards that. Or maybe it's 10% goes to hiring someone, which we're going to get into in a separate thing. But to answer your question, how do we decide? I do my, immediate research as well as I can by talking to contacts in the space. Really, they feed me what's working, what's not, because I'm outwardly have created these contacts that I mentioned, software companies, other affiliates, even networks. And honestly, we're transparent with networks too. We're saying, hey, if you can't beat my pricing, we have high volume. If you add value, why would we ever leave you? Why would I ever leave Lending Tree? Lending Tree, for instance, they're an affiliate network. Let's call them what they are. They're an affiliate network. They're a publicly traded $500 million a year network, affiliate network, but they're an affiliate network. Why can't I replicate them? Well, they have, hundreds of end buyers. They have call center people like, it's not worth it. If you're an affiliate network guy who just grabbed an offer off of somewhere and plugged it in here and said, I'm going to take a 50% margin in between smoking weed back in the background, like you're not adding any value, right? So we're eventually going to move on from you. And I think that's, my team is transparent and blunt about that. But to answer your question, it's, we will start with speed, a network or something like that. We will get really good at putting a very small percentage of budget towards it. And, I got to hear the founder of Peloton speak the other day, and he's a huge proponent of this MVP model, minimum viable product model. And, he challenged us. He said, what are you going to get out the door in the next 7 days? So if you're like, and I think a lot of us affiliates are good at that. Most businesses are not, right? Most businesses are slow to act. Affiliates are quick. But in this case, like Okay, I want to test something else, another offer. Great. What can I get up and live in the next 7 days? Again, back to that principle, even if it's the wrong focus, I'm going to stay focused on this. And, I'm not saying bleed $500 million or $300,000 into something that is not going to click and work. But if there's some life there, start flexing that muscle and working out that muscle of pain threshold of burning money, losing money, which is really a abundant mindset more than a scarcity mindset. So if you will always make money, you can always make money. If you're listening here, you probably have the skill sets, aka you want to learn from people, that you will always make money because you're taking time out of your day to listen to what we're talking about here. Not because it's me, just in general with your guys' beautiful conference. You probably have that skill set. You're always going to make money if you're here. You show up. Most people don't show up. Congratulations. You're very special to be able to do that. I truly mean that. So now when you switch it to an abundant mindset, take 10% of my cash, instead of it just sitting in a bank account or instead of me saving up for my Lamborghini, I'm going to invest back in being a business owner because I want to change the world. I believe business is a spiritual game. I think and why I say that is I think in order to be successful in business, you need to add more value consistently than anybody else, which I think is spiritual by nature. I think adding value consistently is spiritual. So you are actually, whether you believe in God, a higher power, yourself, I think you are doing a disservice to your creator by not trying to grow a massive business and serve a ton of people. So I believe it's a spiritual game by nature. So point to me, I know I went off on a tangent and got really, really principle-y, but to answer your question, maybe it's a 10% set aside. Piggyback off our previous question as far as how to vet which offers to set. I'm going to set 10% of my income for the next 3 months aside to making this work. I'm not going to leave for 3 months. I'm going to spend this money when it's up. Cool. We'll wait till the next month. 10% of my time too, even more importantly. I don't follow shiny object syndrome and go 100%, just a small sliver, which again, get very disciplined with your calendar. Got it. 1 hour a day, 30 minutes a day, I'm going to spend on this, 90% on what's working kind of things. So there's some more tactical things around that question.
I just find you amazing. You're awesome. So I mean, you everybody listening will realize how much fun it is to hang out with Anthony over a couple drinks in the evening, because he can go on forever and everything is gold, I believe. So awesome. So I don't even know how to summarize what you all just said, but it's everything from how important it is to create a company to how much budget you actually set aside for testing. And most importantly, that's one of the big takeaways from me from this conversation so far is focus. Because I definitely think that most people don't focus well enough. So that actually leads us to another question that I have. So let's say that you have built up your direct relationships with an advertiser, right? You focus on a certain kind of vertical or very specific kind of offer. How many different offers would you typically run? And that's a focus thing again, because obviously you want to build up the relationship with one advertiser, you want to focus on that, and you want to have all the benefits that Anthony, you just mentioned. But then again, you don't want to be completely dependent on one advertiser, right? How many streams of income do you build there? How broad do you go?
Yeah, I mean, strategy focus wise, yeah, you definitely want to diversify, of course. It makes sense. More realistic, or at least I'll just experience share. Again, we were in one space with one partner for 3 years, and that's all we did was just
one partner? Okay.
One partner,
all right.
One space, because I wanted to get intimately knowing them. And I will say back to that, what I've learned now, which would have been a better business principle to apply then, get back to that 10% rule or whatever it is. We now always have one emerging market or emerging platform that has that, I don't think we budget it as strictly as I'm saying I do, but we set aside money and we say, and I'm sure it works out to be about 10% of what we make to trying to get this to take off the ground, right? So we're 90% on this one thing. We're just doubling down, and every quarter the team knows there's one product that we're pushing, and sometimes it carries over to the next quarter that we're going really hard in, and that's our main focus. That doesn't mean we don't do other stuff, but such an overwhelming percentage of our day and resources is spent cutting the minutia and drilling back in. And I think that is one of the best skill sets you can learn as a human, not even as a business owner, with how much, you're dragged all day long with people want to set up meetings with you, calls, social media, life, workout. Like, dude, you could live 1 zillion hours a day and still not. That's what I think makes life so beautiful. You will never experience it all. So how do you get more focus and narrow focus to just doubling down and back to that wrong focus? So I know every business book, and I agree with it, diversity is important and key, but I also know the power of, I also know the audience listening right now probably is pretty good at that. And I know we probably need to, including myself, work on narrowing the gate. So I'm purposely going to be dramatic and say one vertical, one buyer, freaking focus on that. I'm doing so good not cursing, by the way. I'm really proud of myself. Just pull.
I know.
Thank you. I'm getting better. Getting more and more narrow focus on what you're doing. And even when it's turbulent, sticking with it. And I'm not saying burn cash down the thing. And when you know there's not a chance, there's not a chance. But question it. Say, what really is the mistake here? Because somebody is spending money on Facebook to drive Medicare leads. They're making money, I would assume. Somebody's doing it. What am I doing differently? So it's a matter of figuring out what puzzle piece you're missing, not does this work? Does this work? You know what I mean? Like, it does work. You're not getting it to work. I think every chokehold of a business is psychology and skills of the leader. So taking that in and going, this isn't working because of me, not because of where I'm at, because of me. What can I change differently? All of a sudden, I think you come from a much different vantage point than I'm in the wrong industry. I'm on the wrong platform. I need to get 3 more of these, 5 more, 10, fuck it. I'll do anything. And there you go, curse. You know what I mean? So I think pulling that in and saying, someone's doing it. What are they doing? What can I model? Do I need better relationships? Do I need to be on a different platform? Do I need to do a form instead of a call? What do I need to do differently? You can always be learning and getting a little bit closer to profitability to mass scale to eventually an exit and sale. And, if you guys want some kind of motivation, look up Lending Tree brands and you'll see all these brands in there, and go Google search how much they sold for. These are pure affiliate sites selling for tens of millions of dollars. And if that doesn't motivate you to grow a business and scale and start looking at this stuff as a business owner, I don't know what does. But to answer your question, I think most people on this call are very good at breadth and diversity, probably need to be wrangled in. So I would take that lesson more than anything here. I'm not saying that diversity is not good. It's very good and it's necessary, because that industry could have gone to shit, and that partner of mine could have hated me and kicked me out. And, I know I'll always make money. So I knew I'd just go find another space relatively quickly, but I was rushing to have diversity in my business as well too. But depending on where you're at in your business, most likely you need to just freaking double down and focus. And I need to get better at that too, because as you get bigger, you just get more noise. So as you get more noise,
let me jump in. Let me jump in right here. So speaking about noise and focus, right? So obviously you're not one of these one-person armies that the affiliate space has a lot of, right? You run a team, but you've also started at one point. How do you manage that transition of like doing everything yourself? And obviously you can't be an expert on everything, but then you kind of have to transition over to, focus on what you're best at, right? And specifically, if you're thinking about building a business, obviously you want to surround yourself with great people and then just have everybody take whatever they can do best. So what did you pick for yourself? And how did you structure your team so you can focus on what actually gives you the biggest leverage?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, and I think probably there's 2 reasons why you're not hiring people if you're in the affiliate space. One is you're afraid they're going to steal your shit and run away and take all your secret sauce. Newsflash, you probably don't have secret sauce. There's transparency tools, everybody can see it. You probably don't have, unless you have a good buyer relationship, getting back to our point before, which let me just close that point out before I come over. There's variables you can pull on besides your CPA on Facebook. The quality of the sales team, the lifetime value of the customer, meaning like, are they upselling them? Are you coaching the product business that you're driving, sales to? Are you coaching them on upselling? Are you putting yourself through the form, the sales process to see how quickly are they calling? In the first 7 seconds, if you're not contacted or called, your contact rates decrease by 350% chance. So when I fill out a form, am I getting called within 7 seconds? If not, you've put yourself a 350% chance on the back burner of this ever being successful. So am I looking at the compensation of the sales rep? Am I training them on my leads? Like, am I auditing what they're doing as well too? So there's so many other levers you can pull other than payout and CPA. But back to, how to get yourself out of the day-to-day operations. And I hate to just keep harping on the same point, but I really do and did put a percentage of what I was making to the side that was going to go to, for me, actually, it wasn't new vertical or new platform like I just described before. It was actually up my time. So it was, okay, for me early on, it was 25% of my money, because I was, I'd whatever I'd make, I'd keep. I'd make it, I'd keep it. I was like, like I said, I made myself a job, right? I'd spend X, I'd make X, cool, that's in my pocket, great. 25% of that, I woke up one day when I was working 60-hour weeks. I hated it. I actually booked a trip to Thailand, funny enough, because I knew it would be opposite time zones. And I knew I wouldn't be able to work if I was, when everybody else was awake in the States, I was asleep over there. So I forced my arm. I got leverage on myself real quick that in the next 6 months, I needed to outsource myself immediately. Otherwise my business was going to crash and burn, or I was going to have a miserable time and not sleep while I was in Thailand. So I got extreme leverage on myself, and I put 25% of my money aside. And I remember this, I did actually follow this principle exactly. I know I gave the 10% before, to hiring. And for me, it was stuff I hated first. So it was assistant work, and then it was bookkeeping work. And then it started getting into like reporting or data. Then it was little minutia work. Then it was a little bit of client management work, communication. Then it was media buying a little bit. And the hardest thing still for me today, if you can't tell I love to talk, is selling, right? So that's, which I feel great about, because I think that's the highest value thing you can be doing in your organization. So good job, Anthony. But I still am not, I was calling people out, you're not a business owner. I still don't consider myself a business owner. I'm not direly in the weeds, but I'm still in there enough that I'm still helping the conversation or the business grow. And to some extent, I love it. I want to do it, but I'm not technically a business owner. I'm an operator at this point. So how do you pull yourself out? I think you tactically, you set some money aside and you say, this person, if they're the worst hire ever, it doesn't matter. I burnt the money. I burnt it in a trash can and it's over here, and I don't care. I don't care. And then the other thing is getting back to is, it's so easy to say that employees suck or they're not good, and getting back to that same thing, that point of the psychology of the owner, like, and then seeing that someone's running ads in the Medicare space, like some lead gen companies hire thousands of employees. There's probably something there. And they're big, they're publicly traded companies. Like, it's probably a good idea to hire employees if you want to grow and you want to do stuff. So really, wrapping your head around putting money towards investing in employees. They don't suck. You're probably hiring the wrong people, or you yourself are probably bad at hiring, or a bad manager, a skill set a business owner should learn to get good at, wink, wink. So that's really important to take that to heart, not just how do I buy media more efficiently, which is important for the day-to-day. And then second point is, we have an hour a week where I bring the whole team together and we work on the business. So it's after hours. I get dinner. I literally get steak dinners for everyone, and we work on the business. Meaning we work on three things. How do we get more customers? How do we increase our price per customer? And how do we get repeat customers? Those are the only three ways. If you could argue me till you're blue in the face, there's only three ways to grow a business. You get more, they are worth more, so you charge more, you're able to justify charging more, or you get more repeat business. There's no other way to grow a business other than those 3 points. So, and you sit back and you are not the one leading the conversation. So if you even have one person on your team or a partner, you have likely dug yourself a grave and done a horrible disservice, like myself, where I came in and I said, guys, here's what we're doing this quarter. Here's how we're going to do it. This is what we're going to roll out. You guys ready? Or any ideas, guys? Fuck you. I just gave all the ideas. There's no ideas. So getting in there and saying, guys, how do we get more leads? How do we charge more? Let's start there. More leads, how do we charge more per lead? I don't know. Well, if we were to charge more per lead, what would that look like? And you're just shutting up, this is my hardest hour of the week. I just shut up. But what it's doing is I've trained, and I'm training and empowering my team to think like a business owner, to think like a business operator, even more, where they're now moving the ball. Even if it's the assistant work, they're taking initiative and action, because you're not the director. You're not the one coming back and going, do this, respond this way, don't talk this way, talk to this. You're now empowering them. And you're letting them, actually, the whole reason you hired them was to do the work, not for you to tell them to do the work, and then they're dummies carrying it out. Newsflash, there's software that can do that. There's plenty of tech out there that can do. You saying, I wanted to do this, go. You're hiring people that are sharp, that are creative, that have intangible skills that a software AI can't do. Even if we're not talking about today, we're talking about in the future. And you as a leader need to empower those people to be able to do that. So tactically, again, small percent of your profit aside to actually start hiring people. Pretend like you burnt the cash. Pretend like it's gone. It's gone forever. You bought a lottery ticket. It didn't cash out. It's done. Great. But that's not what's going to happen. You're going to start learning how to be a better manager, taking it on yourself. Okay, this employee doesn't suck. I suck as a manager and a business owner. What can I learn? New skill sets for me to learn? Badass. I can't wait for that. And then actually setting aside time of the week. Probably most of us need to do this yourself if you're the business operator, but for your team to start thinking like business operators or business owners and asking them, coming to them, Philip, how do we make this the best speech ever? versus me coming saying, this is how we're going to make the best speech ever. You're going to tell me. And I go, interesting. I'm just taking notes. Doesn't mean to run with everything, but I'm taking notes. And the last thing I'll say on that point too, I think it's very important. I think greatness gets killed by people falling into the trap of how versus what. And I think there's time for both. I'm not saying you have this what idea where you say, I'm going to have $1 billion company. Woo, good day of work. Beautiful. But too quick, people go, I'm going to have $1 billion company. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? I can't do that. That's hard. Raise money. I don't know. And you don't ever get to that. And that compartmentalizing of what, guys, we are going to increase our cost per lead by 10% by the end of April, by the end of May. We're going, whatever it is, whatever the date is. And you say, guys, this is the what we're going to do. Got it? Well, no. This is the what. You got it? We're putting this up. Everyone write it up. Have it on a Post-it note. Look at this. There's my Post-it note of my to-do that I need to do for this quarter. Right there. It stares at me every day. And you go, this is the what. The how. Okay, now let's go figure it out. But taking that pause in between, so many beautiful ideas and companies and growth and freaking life experiences for that get killed on the how. Decide what you're going to do and then figure out how to do it. Don't go, what I'm going to do, how am I going to do that? I'm not going to do that. Okay, I can't do that.
I think that's very strong. I think what you combine here, that you give ownership to people, right? Really let them own their space and drive the company forward in that part of the business. And then together make clear what's the goal, but let them or the whole team together decide how you actually go there. And also like what has worked for me a lot is like having a lean approach of actually taking step by step, right? And learning along the way. So if you have, it comes back to having a clear vision, but really broken down to the actual what you want to do. And then you're flexible about how you get there. So I think that's very powerful. And coming back to my question, I think that also gives you a lot of freedom and will move you closer to being actually the business owner and not just the operator. So I really like that. That's a good approach. I have a last question. Then unfortunately, we have to do the rest of the Q&A live whenever that is possible again. My last question here will be regarding the outlook, Corona or not, but obviously we're gonna head into a, potential difficult time economically. Now for our space, it might be very different compared to many other industries, but how do you prepare yourself for the times that are coming? So coming back to the topic of our conversation about going direct. So let's reference to that. And then I know that you will come back also to the question of how to run your business and do that. So let's keep this one a little bit briefer because I know you have so much to share, but I don't want to go too much overboard. So let's focus on what's coming up in the months to come.
So I'll make this semi concise. One is, if you're in America, we're printing more money than in the history of this country. When you're printing money at 156% rate and the highest tax bracket is 39%, it doesn't take a genius to know that needs to be made up somewhere, and it's going to be made up through taxes. And eventually, I don't know if it's going to be in 6 months, 12, 18, it's going to sound like a gruesome conversation, but it's going to be the most exciting time if you take advantage of it. I get back to my stat I said earlier, 60% of Fortune 1000 companies were founded during a recession or a downturn. Be greedy when others are fearful. We're about to have one of the most immaculate times as a business owner and as marketers in our space than we've ever had before when there is a financial downturn. And again, I'm not an economist, but I would bet pretty significant money that there is going to be a downturn. There almost always is. There's trends. So we're naive to think we're in this great, amazing market. Things are great right now. They are, but in my opinion, it's fluffed up and prop, right? That's not political view. That's just, I'm looking at numbers, and hopefully people are too. So how do you prep for that's the question, right? Who I think a couple things. One is whatever you're pushing, the product, the offer, whatever it is, the audience you're marketing to, who needs your service, right? Who needs it? And it was fun. I get to talk to Tony Robbins about this. He has, his Unleash the Power Within. It's this great event. Everybody wants to better themselves. Yay. I'm not making fun of it. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. And when 2008 came, people stopped investing in the good to haves. And he said, who needs me right now? And he said, business owners do. I need to have an event that talks about how to grow your business. And it skyrocketed because business owners needed it. Otherwise it literally went out. He was like, business would go out of business if they don't learn how to grow during the recession. So they needed him. So what of your audience, which offer, what needs you during a recession? And I think, and I don't have the answer for you, but just hum on that. Who needs it? Who needs it, right? And then also, there's things right now where money is very cheap. People will loan money cheaply. Are you prepping to have your credit lines cut? Are you prepping for people to potentially sue you when it get a lot more handsy when the economy goes down? Do you have the right insurances in place? Are you taking out, I'm not telling you to do this or not, are you taking out capital loans because they're at freaking 2%, it's free money, where you go back and do some research on other recessions, sometimes money gets lent at 18%. That's at a hike. But today people cry if their mortgage rate went up to 3 or 4%. Like, no way. Like, this is low. Like, so just start thinking through, and one, opening your eyes, not to be, I'm the least pessimistic person ever, but I'm very realistic. There is going to be a correction in the market. We don't know when. Are you prepped for it in your products, meaning who needs it? Are you prepped for it? What could happen then? Are you reading case studies on 2008? What happened? What industries boomed? What crashed? What were bad? What did people learn? Like, educate yourself on recessions, and you'll be overly prepped for what to do, how to do it. And number one comes back to, and it sounds fluff, your psychology again. And it is so important. It's why do people make money in the stock market and not? Very simple. When the stock market's crashing, people who get skitsy and they go, oh, I need to pull that money out. Those are the ones who ultimately lose money, because it eventually goes back up and they pull it down here. The ones that don't, the ones that stick through it and double down. In fact, when there's a dip in a market, people put more money in the stock market. They know it's going to come back long term. They double down in investments.
Exactly.
That psychology is so important to just internalize with your business, that abundance mindset again. So line yourself up spaces. Think what could happen in a correction, from money to team. Where are there opportunities? There are going to be people on their ass. There's going to be great talent. Great. I can take them at that, and start realizing how, we quite possibly, if you're listening to this, depending on your age, and if you're in your 30s, 40s, younger, whatever it is, the next 12 to 18 months could quite possibly be the best opportunity we'll ever have in our lifetime to make money. Like, just let that sink for a second. The next 12 to 18 months could be the best opportunity you've ever had to capitalize on what's going on in the world and the economy, more so than has ever been seen in the history of the world. And I really hope you take that to heart, because there's a lot that can happen when others are fearful. You can greedy, not in a bad way, in a spiritual way. It's your due diligence, I think, as a human to grow. You were 1 in 4 trillion chance of you even being birthed. You have an obligation to do some greatness on this planet and serve others and serve yourself, really, at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. Well, very, very wise words. You rocked as usual, Anthony. Thank you so much, both from spiritual perspective, but also from the tactical side of things, of how to run affiliate offers and why everybody should really go direct. So I think we covered a lot in this conversation. Hate to cut it off here, but I appreciate your time, all your energy, and all the golden nuggets that you shared with us here. So thank you very much. This was Anthony Sarandrea.
Thank you, brother.